So here we are. Part 1 of the story. So I was playing with Tim Verbeek. He's a Dutch player. He's, I think, now an integral member of the Patricia Kane team. We, I think, saw him playing with Kane in the Solway knockouts, although I believe they got knocked out a little early in the tournament. Maybe they lost to Fleischer, could have been. But very, very strong player from the Netherlands, and apparently he's also the coach of some of the Netherlands juniors. I know that I'm not sure if he's a frequent visitor of the stream, but someone named Steph comes in to hang out and said that Tim is his coach or mentor or something like that for the Dutch junior team, which is really cool. Tim, all-around great guy. So I was playing with him. This was the first time we ever played together as a partnership. We both had showed up in New Orleans without commitments for the very first event, which is the 3-day Platinum Pairs. Kind of a prestigious 3-day match point event. Day 3 is played behind screens, day 1 and 2 are not, but to qualify, you need to have earned a significant number of Platinum points within the past, 3 years, I think it is. So you need to have been doing well in national events recently to even be able to qualify to play. So anywho, this was day 2 of the event, and we were doing quite well. We had basically already qualified for the 3rd day. We were just kind of cruising with high 50s, low 60% rounds. And then this hand came up. We were playing against these two guys who are 50 in the past 3 years or 200 in a lifetime. That might be a new thing, because I recall it being something like 50 in the past year or 200 in the past 3 years, but maybe I'm wrong, Either way, 200 lifetime is not a lot, but it's still some reasonable number of Platinum points. You can't just get that by playing one national event and barely scraping the bottom of the overalls. So anywho, we played against these two guys. We came up against them, and they were from Egypt. And I don't recall their names, but we had the following auction. And I think we had the following auction. Not 100% convinced, but I do recall North opening a club. I do recall them finding Heart Fit. I don't actually know if we got involved in a spade fit, but something to this effect happened. I do recall South Q-bidding diamonds, or bidding 4 diamonds in the auction, and so they bid up to 6 hearts. So I guess I can walk through the auction a little bit. A club, a spade over call, 2 hearts by South. We elect red on white not to get too involved and just bid 2 spades. North bids 3 hearts. Our partner competes to 3 spades. Could have made a maximal double if he was interested in game. 4 diamonds by South. 4 no trump by North. Key card. Announced and explained his key card. 5 hearts by South. 2 without the queen. 6 hearts by North. All pass. So I was on lead, and I started thinking, and eventually I came around to the idea that it looked like the opponents might have an undisclosed club fit on this auction. You know, we have long spades. South has made this diamond Q bid, which got North excited to try 4 no trump, despite having what looks like just a minimum opener with some clubs and hearts. So maybe North has long clubs. South easily could be bidding 4 diamonds based on a club fit or partial club fit of some kind. So I elected to lead the ace of clubs and try and give partner a rough. Now what happened at the table was I led the ace of clubs, and North spent about a minute before even putting the dummy down. They just looked at the ace of clubs on the table and kind of sat there and stared at it and, you know, I guess fidgeted a little bit, but eventually they tabled the dummy. We were not behind screens, we were just sitting at a table here. So I led the club ace, dummy came down, and then Declarer spent like a good 2 minutes before playing to the first trick. And this is what happened on the first trick, that the hand was over in an instant. Partner pitched on the club. Now partner had not made a Lightner double. Isn't this one no opener? Again, I'm not certain what the auction was. I kind of threw something together. I do recall North showing clubs naturally during the auction, which is the reason why I led the club ace. I had this inference based on the auction that partner might be short in clubs, and my best chance was to give them a club rough. So yeah, maybe this is one no opener. I'm copying the hands from hand records that I pulled. Maybe these weren't actually the hands that occurred at the table. Either way, you know, there's a bunch of oddities that are going on at the table at this point, right? Like North's long hesitation before putting the dummy down, South's long hesitation before playing to trick one. Partner showed out at trick one. I quickly gave them club rough, and Declarer took 11 tricks. Okay. So, you know, they bid to a reasonable spot. I mean, 6 hearts is making without a club rough, but we did very well on opening lead. Cool. But still, it felt a little weird. So this was day 2 in the event, and then at the end of day 2, this pair came up to us, and they said, hey, you know, we're looking for teammates for the Vanderbilt at the end of this event. Now, Tim had showed up to this entire tournament, as far as I could tell, without any prior commitments for playing. And so far, he hadn't really found anything for the Vanderbilt. I think I had plans to play with Craig for some of the events later, like maybe the Risinger. No, not the Risinger. It would have been Spring Nationals. Blue ribbon pairs, maybe. No. Whatever it was. I'm sorry. I'm completely lost as to what I had commitments to play with Craig, but I think I had commitments to play with Craig at something later, and so I told these guys, I was like, look, you know, sorry, but we probably already have things to do. Now, shortly after this confrontation, I start overhearing, just buzz in the hallway, that it wouldn't have been a 2-day pair game, so maybe it was probably not the mixed pairs, you're right. Yeah, I don't recall. So I start hearing buzz in the hallway about a cheating Egyptian pair that is at the event. And that got me thinking, you know, some weird stuff had happened on this hand, like the 4-diamond cubit on a small doubleton. They bid all the way up to 6 hearts or whatever. And then just the long hesitations before they... It felt like they knew they were going down when I led the club ace, before dummy tabled his hand, before Declare played at trick 1. So it seemed to me like maybe they had overheard something or accessed the hand records or I don't know what, just based on what I'd been hearing in the halls. So okay, that was day 2. Both myself and Tim, as well as this pair, qualified for day 3. Now we get into the fun part. So I had this card, but I was actually sitting north. So maybe the hand records are a little off. I do remember this was my exact hand. And so if you're not familiar with how screens work, behind screens, north-south are the ones who want to, or who are basically in charge of moving the board. Moving the board, touching everything, opening and raising the screen door, all of that sort of stuff. So I was actually sitting north, and this south player was on my side of the screen, so they must have been sitting east. Maybe I just rotated the hand. Either way, so myself and the south player are on the same side of the screen. So there's a tray where you place bids on top of the tray as you make them. And this is to avoid any sort of, you know, unauthorized communication based on the way you put your bids down, based on, tempo and all of this sort of stuff. And so once the bids get placed on the tray, then the north or south player at the table will push the tray through to the other side of the screen, usually after waiting a few seconds to check and see make sure that there's no concerns about breaks in tempo. So north had opened a diamond. I made a takeout double with my cards. South pulled out 2 hearts, put it on the tray, and then pulled out the stop card and also put it on the tray. And then started trying to push the board through the screen. So, I grabbed the tray, and I kind of wagged my finger at him like this, because you're not supposed to talk. I was just like, no, no, no. And I reached to take the stop card off the tray, right? At this point, I was well aware that these guys had been cheating. We just didn't know how. So I reached to take the stop card. He slams his hands on the tray, grabs the stop card out of my hands, sticks it on the tray, and then shoves the tray through the screen. Okay, wow. So the hand eventually plays out. I mean, partner elected to make a double. We defended 2 hearts doubled. The full hand looked like this. Now, we ended up beating this a trick. I guess we got 2 hearts, 2 spades, a club, and a diamond. Not a great score. We could have bid and made 2 spades. Not sure why Tim elected to go after 2 hearts rather than to bid 2 spades, but I mean, it's definitely reasonable. There's no guarantee we have a 4-4 spade fit, so maybe he was hoping my major suits were a little reversed. Maybe I should have pulled the double of 2 hearts. Either way, it became very obvious after the hand that South was trying to express that they had a very, very, very weak hand for the 2 heart bid. And, this was in the finals of an open event, played behind screens, so they ended up getting a good result on this board. They actually got a good result against us on the next board, but their overall percentage on day 3 was in the 20s. Which kind of goes to show that if you're cheating, screens actually do kind of work. They prevent a lot of unauthorized communication. I mean, after the hand, I immediately went up to the director, reported it, filled out a recorder form in the break, and turned it in. Yeah, the pair eventually got banned, and that's basically the end of the story.